Half the Truth, Chapter 11, The Man Behind the Lock.
The server room smells like ozone and old carpet, and the man who runs it is not what I expected. I expected a lecture. I expected the dead-eyed authority of every adult who's ever caught me doing something I wasn't supposed to. The social worker tone, the disappointed frown, the script that begins with, "I'm concerned about your behavior," and ends with consequences. I've heard the script so many times I could deliver it myself. Ken Lennon doesn't deliver the script. He wheels me into his server room, closes the door, pats the rack-mounted Dell on its chassis, and says,
"Kai, meet Margaret."
I stare at him. He stares back. He's medium everything. Medium height, medium build, brown hair going gray at the temples, khakis, and a flannel shirt that suggest a man who stopped thinking about clothes around 2015 and never started again. His face has the pleasant, unremarkable quality of someone you'd forget 5 minutes after meeting them, which I'm beginning to suspect is deliberate. "You named your server Margaret," I say.
"Margaret is reliable. Margaret doesn't complain. Margaret has never once asked me to fix her printer."
He drops into a chair that looks like it was rescued from a landfill and gestures at a second chair, slightly better, with actual cushioning, that he's positioned at the right height for someone transferring from a wheelchair. He noticed. He prepared.
"The backup is Shirley. The router is Gerald. I'd introduce you to the UPS, but she doesn't have a name yet. Haven't found the right one."
I transfer to the chair because the wheelchair doesn't fit well in the narrow room, and because I want to be at eye level for whatever comes next, Ken says. He turns to his monitor, pulls up a log file.
"So, let me show you something."
The log file is his monitoring script output. I recognize it immediately. The same data I saw from the inside when I discovered his sniffer 4 days ago. But from this angle, from the admin side, I can see things I couldn't see from within the network. Annotations, timestamps. A color-coded analysis that tracks the anomalous traffic patterns across multiple dimensions simultaneously.
"Now, this is you."
Ken says, pointing to a cluster of highlighted entries.
"First week. You were careful, but you were new to the network, so your access patterns had the signature of human exploration. Irregular intervals, variable data requests, the particular cadence of someone mapping a space they've never seen before."
He scrolls down. Another cluster, differently highlighted.
"This is also you. After you discovered the sniffer, you went dark for 24 hours, smart, then came back with spoof source addresses, timing designed to mimic automated processes, and a routing strategy that would have fooled about 90% of monitoring setups."
He looks at me. His expression is neither angry nor impressed.
90% is very good for a 16-year-old working from a student laptop on a network this bad. Where did you learn this?
Self-taught, I say. Which is true in the way that matters and false in the way I can't explain. I didn't learn network infiltration from a textbook. I learned it from the implant at the base of my skull, which translates digital systems into something my consciousness can navigate the way other people navigate a room. But I can't tell him that.
Self-taught?
Ken repeats. He nods slowly.
The network here is bad, Kai.
I noticed.
No, it's bad on purpose.
I blink. The sentence rearranges everything I've assumed about Millhaven's infrastructure. I thought the garbage network was neglect, an underfunded school with an IT guy who didn't care enough to secure it properly. The wide-open router, the default passwords, the flat subnet with no segmentation. I read it all as laziness. Ken watches my face, and I can see him watching me recalculate.
A good network is a network people trust. A bad network is a network people underestimate. If someone with skills gets into a well-secured system, they expect resistance. They're careful. They assume they're being watched. But if they get into a system that looks like it was set up by someone's uncle in 2019,
they get comfortable, I finish. They move freely. They assume nobody's watching because nobody seems capable of watching.
and then I watch them.
The room is very quiet except for the hum of Margaret and the whir of the wall fan. I look at Ken Lennon with new eyes. The forgettable face, the unremarkable clothes, the server room that looks like a converted closet, all of it is the same strategy as the network, a trap that looks like incompetence.
Kai, you found the encrypted partition.
No point denying it. He has the logs. Yes.
Did you access it?
No. I mapped the metadata, file types, modification dates, access patterns. I didn't break the encryption.
Oh, could you?
The question hangs between us. I think about lying. I think about saying no, of course not. AES 256 with a custom key derivation function is beyond my capabilities. But Ken has just shown me that he sees through performances, and performing for a man who builds traps out of incompetence seems like a bad strategy. Given enough time, I say. Yes, Ken absorbs this. No surprise, no alarm, taking it in.
I'm going to tell Leo about this. He needs to meet you.
Why, Ken looks at me for a long moment, and the pleasant mask shifts. What's underneath isn't threatening or cold. It's something I haven't seen from an adult in a very long time. Respect.
Because you remind me of him. Same hunger. Same inability to leave a locked door alone. And because whatever's on that partition matters, and the number of people in this building who understand that it matters just went from 2 to 3.
He stands, pats Margaret.
Don't touch the partition again until you've talked to Leo. After that, we'll see.
He opens the door and holds it while I transfer back to my wheelchair. As I roll past him, he says quietly,
For what it's worth, the spoofing was genuinely impressive. Your timing intervals were almost perfect. The tell was the data volume. Automated processes request consistent packet sizes. Yours varied by about 12%, which is a signature of someone reading selectively rather than scanning systematically.
12%, I say. I'll fix that. Ken smiles. It's the first fully real smile I've seen from him.
Yeah, I bet you will.
Leo Farid's office is a room that has been inhabited rather than decorated. I notice this because I notice everything about environments, a habit from years of institutional living where the details of a room tell you more about its owner than anything they say. Leo's office has books, real books, not the decorative spines that some offices display like trophies. These are read, dog-eared, annotated. The shelves are organized not by author or title but by subject, which tells me he uses them for reference rather than display. Middle Eastern history, investigative journalism methodology, constitutional law. A cluster of books about financial systems that looks like a graduate seminar reading list. On the wall behind his desk, a framed photograph of a woman with silver hair and dark eyes, standing in front of a farmhouse with green hills behind her. His mother, I think. The woman the public records list as Nadia Farid, still alive upstate. No photographs of a wife or children, no personal artifacts beyond the books and the single framed photo. The room is more archive than living space. He's sitting behind his desk when Ken brings me in. Ken doesn't stay. He nods to Leo, gives me a look that says good luck in the universal language of people who've seen their boss in serious mode, and closes the door behind him. Leo looks at me. I've seen him before, in the hallways, at assembly, the distant, authoritative figure of a headmaster doing headmaster things. But I've never been alone with him, never been the focus of his attention, and the difference is substantial. His eyes are dark and deeply set in a face that carries its age like architecture carries weather, lined not from weakness but from exposure. He looks like a man who spent decades facing wind.
Kai Adeyemi,
He says. Not a question. He has my file open on his desk. The physical one, paper, which strikes me as deliberate in a building where everything else is digital. Paper doesn't leave network traces. Yes, sir.
Ken tells me you've been exploring my server.
No preamble. No softening. Leo Farid speaks the way his journalism reads, direct, economical, every word chosen for maximum impact. I respect this even as my heart rate climbs. Yes.
Tell me what you found.
I could minimize. I could give him the version I gave Ken, metadata, access patterns, nothing substantive. But Leo is looking at me with the eyes of a man who has spent 30 years interviewing people who don't want to tell the truth, and I have the sudden, visceral understanding that lying to this man would be both futile and unwise. The encrypted partition, 412 gigabytes, growing. AES 256 with a custom key derivation function. You access it 4 nights a week, usually after 10. During your sessions, you communicate through a 3-layer VPN chain with external contacts. The partition contains over 12,000 files, documents, images, PDFs, spreadsheets, audio, video. The volume and format diversity suggest an ongoing investigation, not record-keeping. His expression doesn't change. Not a flicker. The recitation lands and disappears into him, completely, without visible effect. But his hands, resting on the desk, press slightly flatter against the wood. Tension. Controlled, but present.
You read all of that from metadata.
Metadata tells you almost everything if you know how to read it.
You didn't access the contents.
No.
Could you?
The same question Ken asked. I give the same answer, given enough time. Yes. A long silence. Leo's eyes don't leave mine. The assessment of a man who has spent his life judging whether people are telling the truth. I hold his gaze because looking away would be an admission of something I'm not willing to admit.
Who else knows about the partition?
Here it is. The question I knew was coming. The fork in the road where I either protect the group or open the door. I think about Thea. About her reading Leo's aura through the cafeteria and the hallways and the walls of this building, seeing the deep blue conviction and the fear and the clean intentions. I think about what she said. Leo is good. Whatever he's hiding, I trust him. I think about Cole, who said, not yet. Who said, when we know enough to understand what we find. We know now. We've built the frame. Leo Farid is a journalist who was destroyed for investigating something powerful. He never stopped. His archive is the continuation of his life's work, hidden in a school that nobody watches because nobody cares about a building full of damaged kids. The frame is built. It's time to see if the picture fits. 3 other students. Thea Cross, Cole Mercer, Yuna Kwan. Leo's hands press a fraction harder against the desk. Something moves behind his eyes. Not surprise. Not exactly. Recognition. The micro-expression of a man who's just had a suspicion confirmed.
The 4 of you.
You've noticed us.
I notice everything in this building. It's a professional habit I've never been able to break. 4 students who arrive separately, from different backgrounds, through different channels, with no apparent connection. And within 2 weeks you form the tightest group in the school. That's not typical social dynamics. That's something else.
He's asking without asking, inviting me to fill the gap. I consider how much to give him. The thread, the abilities, the frequency we share. It's too much, too far, not without the other's consent. We have things in common, things that go beyond the usual reasons people end up here. Leo watches me. I can almost hear his mind working, fitting this piece into his existing puzzle, testing it against the model he's been building for 11 years in the dark.
Kai.
His voice changes, not softer, deeper. The voice of a man who is about to say something he says to very few people.
I am investigating something. I have been investigating it for a long time. It is dangerous. People have tried to stop me before, and they will try again. The archive on that server is my life's work, and if the wrong people learn it exists, the consequences would be severe. For me, for Ken, and potentially for everyone in this building.
He lets this settle.
I'm not going to tell you what the investigation is about. Not today. I need to think about what it means that a 16-year-old found it, and I need to think about what it means that 4 unusual students have found each other in my school.
Mr. Farid.
Don't access the partition again. Not until we've spoken further. And Kai.
He leans forward. The intensity in his face sharpens to a point.
Be careful who you trust in this building. Not everyone here is what they appear to be.
The sentence drops through me like a stone through water. Done, I say. The name comes out before I can stop it. Leo's face goes very still. The wind-weathered lines seem to deepen. He doesn't confirm. He doesn't deny. He just looks at me with an expression that tells me I've just confirmed something he already suspected, but hoped wasn't true.
We'll talk again. Soon. Go back to your friends, and be careful.
I leave his office with my heart hammering. The hallway is bright and loud with the after-class rush of students, and I navigate through them in my chair without seeing any of them, because all of my processing power is dedicated to a single recursive thought. He warned me, which means he's choosing a side, which means there are sides, which means this building contains a war that the rest of us have been living inside without knowing it.
Kai's aura arrives in the stairwell like every circuit in a building throwing breakers at once. I feel him coming from 2 floors away, the cognitive web blazing, every filament lit up, his emotional baseline running so hot that his health aura is showing stress markers I've never seen in him before. He rounds the landing, and his face confirms what his aura already told me. Something has changed.
Sit down.
Cole says from the shadows.
I can't sit down. My chair is already sitting.
Then breathe.
Kai breathes. It doesn't help much, but the act of following Cole's instruction grounds him enough to start talking. He tells us everything. The server room. Ken's trap, the deliberately bad network, the conversation with Leo, the warning. Not everyone here is what they appear to be. The stairwell is very dark. Cole has drawn the shadows so tight that I can barely see Yuna 2 feet to my left. But I can feel her, the controlled blaze pulling tighter, the furnace banking as her tactical mind engages.
He knows about Dunn?
He didn't confirm it, but when I said the name, his face, yeah, he knows, or suspects.
Which means Leo's investigation might not just be about whatever he was chasing as a journalist. It might include this school, this building, the people in it.
What if we're part of it? What if we're not just students who happen to find his server? What if we're connected to whatever he's investigating?
Nobody answers, because the thought is too large and too dark and too close to the question I've been circling since the night I first felt the thread. The thing that connects us, the thing none of us can explain. Kai, when you were mapping the partition metadata, the file structure, did you see any folder names, any labels?
The file names are encrypted along with the contents, but...
He hesitates. His aura flares, a memory surfacing.
There was a fragment. When Leo accesses the partition, there's a brief moment where the session cache holds decrypted directory headers before they're cleared. Microseconds. I caught a piece of one during my mapping.
What piece?
A folder name. 3 words. Cure for death.
The words enter the stairwell, and the stairwell holds them. Cure for death. It doesn't feel like a metaphor. It feels like a name.
Cure for death. That's not a figure of speech.
No. It's a folder name in an encrypted archive built by an investigative journalist who was destroyed for getting too close to something. It's a label for a piece of whatever Leo's been chasing for 11 years.
Who would want a cure for death?
Practical. Grounded. The question of a person who needs to reduce the abstract to the operational, everyone, and no one. It depends on what. I stop. My gift has caught something, a presence on the landing below us. 1 floor down, pressed against the wall of the stairwell, where the shadow is thinnest, and the acoustics carry sound upward in a way that most people wouldn't think about, but that someone positioned to listen would find very useful. An aura. Small, desperate, hungry for approval. A filament of borrowed purpose connecting it to a source in the north wing. Danny. My blood goes cold. The map snaps into focus, every detail sharp, every layer readable. Danny is on the landing below, his body pressed flat against the wall, his breathing shallow and controlled. He's been there for at least a minute, maybe longer, long enough. I don't know if the shadows masked our words, or if sound travels through Cole's darkness the way light doesn't. But Danny is there, and his aura is carrying something new. A coin clutched tight, ready to spend. If Danny knows we've seen him, the information changes. He becomes a threat we've confronted rather than a leak we can track. And tracking the leak tells us more than plugging it. I touch Cole's arm, 1 finger, a signal we haven't established but that he reads instantly because Cole reads silence the way I read auras, intuitively, completely. He goes still. The shadows hold. I change the subject. We should get back. It's almost curfew. We can talk about this tomorrow. Kai looks at me. His aura flashes with confusion. We were in the middle of something. Why are we stopping? But he catches the look I give him.
Yeah, okay, tomorrow.
We break. Kai takes the elevator. Yuna goes up. Cole descends into the shadows of the lower floors, the darkness parting for him like a curtain. I wait. I stand on the 3rd floor landing, and I hold very still, and I watch Danny through the floor. He moves. Peels away from the wall with the careful motion of a boy who's been holding his breath. He descends the stairs to the 1st floor. He crosses the lobby. He walks down the hallway toward the north wing, where the staff offices are, where the lights are still on in one particular room. He enters Rob Dunn's classroom. I can't hear what they say. I'm too far, and my gift reads auras and intentions, not words. But I can feel the exchange. Danny's aura opens, the desperate eagerness of a boy delivering something valuable, seeking the reward of approval. Dunn's aura receives. The filament activating. the connection strengthening, the warmth flowing from teacher to student in the precise dosage that will keep the boy loyal. And something else. A spike in Dunn's aura that I haven't seen before. Something sharp. Something that, if I had to name it, I'd call alarm. 3 words. Cure for death. Meaningless to a lonely 14-year-old. But Dunn's reaction tells me they're not meaningless to him. He's heard them before, or he knows what they refer to, or they connect to something in his hidden world. The encrypted channel, the communications that Kai flagged, the part of Rob Dunn that operates behind the seamless warmth. I stand in the stairwell and I feel the information travel. From our group to Danny to Dunn. 3 steps. A chain of transmission that just carried a piece of Leo's deepest secret into the hands of a man whose aura tells me he is not what he appears to be. The walls didn't just close in, they have ears.